Hey, so Jazzy Jeff's joining me across the pond to talk about the controversy, the reception of the Jazzy Jeff button on the new Pioneer DDJ-SB3 controller. So thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Absolutely.
So listen, the best way to do this, I reckon, is tell the story. What happened? How did you get involved? Fill us in on the history of this thing.
Well, I've been involved with Pioneer products for a long time. I was blessed to be able to go to them with the idea of basically designing a mixer, and we sat down and worked out all of the particulars, which ended up being a Pioneer S9, which has become an industry standard. And then my approach wasn't for me to design a mixer for coming straight from my thoughts. I basically got on the phone with 10 of the most well-respected DJs around the world and just posed a bunch of questions like, what would you like? What do you like? What would you like to see? Because you wanted to make something that was going to be great for everyone, not just myself. But that started a very good relationship, with Pioneer. So, and they know that I'm very much somebody that cares about the culture and cares about the next wave of DJs that are coming. I'm a technology geek, first and foremost. So they came to me with this idea of doing an entry-level controller, and they said, what we would like to do is we would like to help you develop, or we would like you to develop the scratch pads that basically will give a tutorial. That the design was more so let's put maybe 6 or 8 basic scratches in, that if someone picks a sound, that it will do these scratches on these scratch pads using that sound, that you can in turn try to mimic and learn how to do them. It's almost like an online tutorial. Now, of course, some people use this at shows or use it however, but I looked at it, and what got me really excited is, if there's a 10-year-old DJ out there that has a desire to learn, they're not going to spend $2,000 on 2 decks and $1,500 on a mixer only to find out that they don't like it. And to think that would happen would almost be killing the DJ culture. That you understand that you have to make it affordable, for someone to see, if they're interested or not. So when they said that this was an entry-level controller that was going to have all of these features in, I had 15 people that I wanted to give it to as a Christmas gift. Because I know there's a bunch of people, how do you do that? I would love to learn how to do that. And it's kind of like, oh man, I really would like to show you, but if I show you, at the studio, then you have no way of doing this at home, until they come out with something like this. So I was immediately on board with helping develop that, because like I said, the biggest thing for me is, what is the next wave of DJs going to look like? How do they get their inspiration? What equipment do they use? And I thought this was something that was very important in the next step of that.
So to tell people who are watching this who aren't quite sure exactly what goes on here, it's really clever. So it's Jazzy Jeff sounds, Jazzy Jeff moves, if you like, which are on buttons, and this clever little bit of technology inside the controller or inside the software. When you press the button, it takes whatever sound is playing in the record right now and applies your flair to it, applies your style to it. And so this is, as you say, it could be a good learning tool, because you can do it on one of your 2 decks, and on the other deck you can be practicing along. Also, you can slow the tempo down, and it keeps it in tempo, so you can start very, very slow and then speed it up and up. But also, as you said, you could just use it because it's coming out the speakers sounding cool, and that's a good thing, right? It's always good for DJs to be making stuff that comes out the speakers that sounds cool.
Well, you know what, and I think that's what happens is, you always have this level of purists that want to talk about, that this, sacrifices the integrity of the DJ. Well, they said that about Serato. They said that about Tractor. They said that about MP3s. They said that about the digital to analog comparison. There's always going to be technology that's going to move the culture forward. And I feel like, if you're looking at it, I was forced to use Serato when it first came out, because I saw that the record company started not producing vinyl the way that they used to. So some of the popular records that I wanted to play, I couldn't find them on vinyl. So now, do I sacrifice the level of the night because I can't play your favorite song because I don't have it on vinyl, or do I find another way? And I think this started a very big conversation that needs to be had about the purpose of a DJ in general. Your job or my job is to get people on the dance floor and give them a musical experience that they enjoy. If I'm a carpenter and my job is to build your house, I can't worry about what kind of tools you use. The only thing that matters to me is, did you do a great job at the house? Is the house stable? Is the house secure? At the end of the night, I realized, and I've said this, that if I do a festival and there's 10,000 people there, 300 people see me. 300 people actually get a chance to see what equipment I'm using, which means basically 9,700 people are getting it with their ear. And that's the most important thing. And I think what happens is sometimes you get people that pay so much attention to what you're using that you completely forget what you're doing with what you're using. Like, isn't place selection more important? Isn't making sure people have a good time more important than the actual gear or what this button does?
So here's a question for you, and this is something that we find quite curious, because at Digital DJ Tips, when we started nearly 10 years ago, everyone hated the sync button. Everyone hated the fact that you could carry all your tunes around with you. Everyone hated all the things about digital which are now accepted. And we kind of battled against that. And it was my argument then, and it probably still is now, that DJ culture started out as a very forward-looking thing. It was very new. It was very fresh. It was new stuff getting discovered all the time. And it's got more and more and more conservative as time has gone on in some sectors. And how do you feel about that? Do you think there's some truth in that? Do you think there's some kind of like hearkening for an age gone by, which has made it actually, in some sectors, quite a conservative game nowadays instead of a forward-looking one?
Well, I don't know if it's conservative as much as it is people holding on to something. Listen, I'm a vinyl purist, and I've said that I am a turntables first DJ. I don't know how long I'm gonna be a turntables first DJ. I'm a turntables first DJ because that is what I feel the most comfortable on. But with this new technology, with these controllers, with Serato coming out with Rain coming out with the 12, which is a turntable controller, with Phase coming out with an attachment that you can put on top of a turntable and you don't need the needle or the tone arm. These are all things that help me out when I'm on a festival and the bass is so heavy that it vibrates the turntables. These are all tools that allow me to do my job, which is to play music for people to dance to. And like I said, I was one of the very, very early adopters of Serato. And I felt for about a year, I would go and do shows and it would be 100 people in the front that was kind of like, I'm so mad that you're using a computer. You're a purist. I don't understand. And you would have to almost stop the show, which I ended up doing. I would start the show off with a very technical DJ routine for people to say, oh my God, you can do this on it. And then it all went away. But it took a year for me to go around to keep doing this for people to kind of accept it. But I think, my mom still doesn't use her microwave. But there are people that are very much set in their ways, but that doesn't stop the rest of the world from moving forward.
So, Jeff, the way I see it is this is your Bob Dylan electric guitar moment. The thing is, you also had a pretty big hand in inventing the guitar in the first place. So it's a little bit unfair to hear this kind of criticism. And I'd say to anyone else watching this who's still unconvinced by all this thing, you're watching a guy here who has had a massive say in what is now the industry standard top-end purist scratch mixer, and in what is going to be the biggest selling beginner DJ controller, because its predecessor was, in the coming years to the new generation of DJs. So to me, that shows someone who really does care about the culture, because you're kind of covering it from every angle and from both ends.
Well, and you know what? One of the things that I said is I care about the culture moving forward. And then I posed the issue of, so if there is a 10-year-old kid who wants to learn how to DJ, do you think their parents has $3,000, $3,500 to buy some gear to see if this is something they want to do or not. I want more DJs. I want the DJ community to thrive and moving forward. It is not going to move forward if we don't start forward thinking and understanding what's the future. In 10 years, you're going to have people walking around with a controller in their backpack, and they're going to go and set up and plug up. At the end of the day, can they DJ? At the end of the day, are they playing music? Are you enjoying it? It was funny with the sync button thing. We were at Red Bull 3 Style in Poland, and we had a big conversation, and DJ Craze said, I use the sync button all of the time. He was like, I use it as a very good tool to help me keep things balanced so I can worry about all of the other technical stuff that I use. You don't go to someone like DJ Craze and say, you're damaging the DJ culture and you can't DJ.
I'll tell you what, there's a few sync buttons sat there on controllers going, it's not me for a change. So that's a good thing as well. You've let the sync button off the hook.
I understand the argument, but it's, like I said, I owned a recording studio when it was completely analog. I had a 24-inch tape machine and a big giant board that when they started coming out with digital, everyone started complaining, oh my God, digital's too clean. It doesn't sound like analog. You fast forward 10 years later, when everything you hear on the radio was made with Pro Tools and digital sounding, and play an analog recording, and people started getting mad. Oh my God, what is this? What's the fuzz? And what's the crackle? It's like things always evolve. Things always, grow. Technology. I mean, if we looked at it like that, then everyone that is complaining online needs to write me a letter with a piece of paper and pencil and mail it to me.
Snail mail.
Exactly.
So thank you very much for sharing that side of it. I mean, it's obvious to most people. It's never going to be obvious to everyone that technology moves forward and that amateurs are never going to be a threat to the real professionals, and that there's room for everyone, and that it's a wide church. We personally think it's great. Where technology and music meet is great.
It's beautiful.
The S9 mixer, all the big scratch DJs are using it. It's got a lot of technology in it. It's got cue buttons on it. It's got stuff that means you don't have to do beat juggling anymore the old way and stuff. That it's moved on at the high end. This is to us. It's just moving on at the low end as well, and we think it's very exciting. But we thank you very much, Jazzy Jeff, for coming on here and putting your side of this debate that's going on in DJing at the moment.
Yes, I love it. I'll push the culture forward, forever and a day.
So what's next? Where's the next twist? What are you involved with? Have Pioneer got you doing anything else exciting that you're not allowed to tell us, but you're going to tell us anyway?
You know what? I don't know. Like, I'm just excited right now because I feel like we're about to go through a big renaissance with technology and just making it really cool. I love the fact that every time I turn on social media, someone is posting something of some kind of a DJ culture on, showing what they can do, showing the equipment that they use and how they use it. I love this because this is basically putting the culture in everyone's hands to let them know, like, hey, this is how I'm pushing it forward, and this is, how I'm doing it. So this is a great time.
It is a great time. There's so much out there, like you say, and there's so many people having a go. The democratization of DJing is a good thing, we think.
Yes,
we agree with you. Jazzy Jeff, thank you very much for giving your viewpoint here on Digital DJ Tips today.
Thank you.
Cheers.